I am here in the room where Charles Cho has been staying. And he did not come back from bringing food to the apartment that he eats himself. He gets that food on Saturday, he says, from a food bank. But I don't know that because I've not been there myself. But I see him bring food in on Saturday in the late morning, early afternoon. It would be like 11 a.m. or 10 a.m., something like that. And then he would say that he's tired and he would go to sleep for part of the afternoon, which is kind of like him being at the food bank the wrong way because he's due at an employment, so he doesn't just sleep that he eats and eat that he sleeps. The time now, well, I can go look, but it's nighttime. It's late. I didn't hear him leave this morning. He leaves before the sunrise on Saturdays. And I'm saying that like I know that regularly, but I really don't know him and I don't know what he's going to do with himself ever. We are not really friendly anymore. Friendly was before I knew he wanted me to give him a ride in my car. Yeah, it's not friendly since then. And that's really interesting. He's willing to ask a stranger to drive him in a car. I didn't offer. I wouldn't offer to drive someone in a car because I'm a kid. I'm not really a driver except for myself. That means if I drive someone in a car, I'm threatening them. And if I drive a car, I'm just driving because I'm being threatened that I need food and no one's going to give it to me. I have to get it myself, and I have to decease myself as well. And food charges, those are they are routine, but they are not deceased. So that means I have to pay charges in alive, whatever they are, and then I have to decease myself. And sometimes people don't understand why I go through all the trouble that is, and that's because I'm deceased. I go through all the trouble that is. If Charles Toe had food from the food bank and he didn't bring it back into the apartment yet, the food would be past its need to be refrigerated, such as if he had, I don't know, some kind of milk. If he had that, that would be like you can't use it anymore at this hour. But he does drink and eat expired foods and drinks. I don't want him to do that, but he does it anyway. Would he drink spoiled milk? Maybe not, but what about expired granola bars? He eats that. Yeah. I want to stop talking about Charles Toe like I know him and his routine and his daily life. I don't want to know his daily life. I don't want to know him like he's here and it's to be expected that we have that together. I don't have together with anyone who's not myself because I'm the first and alive. There was no one alive when I came alive. When I was alive, it was just me. I can't be together with just anyone. My psychiatrists don't really know that about me because my psychiatrists don't want to give up that they're not my doctor. Well, they're pharmacists to myself, but they're not supposed to force medication on myself, so I don't call them pharmacists. I need them to get medication if I don't feel well, but I don't really want as much medication as they have given me because I don't really need it if they do other things that I need for myself. The medication, that's really snapping on a live that I needed in an emergency. But sometimes they give me emergency medication from themselves having an emergency to be elsewhere. You don't force medication on somebody who doesn't really want it. This is a low creator to do that. That is against my order. I don't want that in alive. I don't want myself and the alive that makes that possible. I don't believe in that. I wouldn't do that to somebody who's not myself. I wouldn't do that to myself. I was talking to my soul about how my soul is not aware of where Charles Toe is because my soul is deceased and is not in the omniscience that would see where Charles Toe is. My soul is deceased only makes the order move, but it's not really supposed to, and I'm not getting that I can give no for an answer. I am no for an answer, and I'm not getting my way very, very hard over 45 years. I don't want to make the alive, and nobody listens to me. That I don't have anything in it a long time ago. They still threaten my physical safety when I'm telling them really that I wouldn't alive this creation for them ever again. They don't think that's up to me. It is up to me, unfortunately. And sometimes I think people say, oh, well, anyway, and they just want to go on with their personalities and go on with their decisions and go on with their pressures on myself, and maybe elsewhere they do have some tension. But I have said what it is to be myself here, and I'm just not making any real progress with the strangers, human beings who don't believe in the soul. I am this soul is how you are alive, and you believe in only part of your alive, and you don't believe in another part of your alive, and you don't have alive that way. There are other ways that you don't have alive that way that you would say that to one another, and it's not as much leverage as when you say that to the soul myself. That means you could say, if you go to the Subway submarine sandwich shop and you order one sub off the menu, and if the cashier attendant says your total is and how much you need to pay for what you ordered, and you tell the cashier, I realize that, but I'm here for the whole sub shop. I want you to give me the keys and get out. And I want the sub made. And if the cashier says no, they expect you to just leave without the sub. That's true that you don't have lives that way, that some stranger that walks up to another stranger attendant at a Subway shop, that the stranger has any karma directly with the attendant. They don't know each other. That's true that they don't have that planned to be there together, that they would do that crime together on God. And what I mean is that maybe nobody works there because they're both hostigers of the cash register ordered that you have to pay for something that you ask for. You have to pay for it with cash. But you're not the soul. You're neither one of you the soul. And you put that kind of threatening on myself, and you have that you both belong in, let's say the attendant and the customer in that case. They're not a customer, they're a threatener. That the two of them belong in a prison together about that they're angry with one another on this subject. But I can't get them in the prison for that reason, and they are always threatening to do that. And neither one of those two people, the threatener who says, give me the keys to the Subway shop, or the attendant who maybe was hired by a manager. Neither of them is the soul, and you are threatening each other over the money, and the money is my leverage. And I wasn't really physically present there for the transactions that occurred at a Subway shop or anywhere in public with the strangers and trafficking. I just can't be everywhere at once, even though the money is everywhere like that. It's true that Charles Toe doesn't understand me, what I just described in this video, and all the videos I've made and posted on YouTube, and the other videos I've made, and I have sent them up to God. I just delete them off the storage of the tablet and the cellular phones I used. Charles Toe does not understand me is, from heaven's point of view, really pathetic. But from my point of view, it's highly screamed in the door locking that he doesn't believe in me in every present moment of now is a blasphemy or a blasphemy, as in ash. He completely ashed the door locking. And it's a blasphemy that I don't hear God with myself. I am God is unfortunately how high it is for me to have this karma and be alive for 23 years, but it's low because I don't deserve it. I didn't actually come as God with a mission statement to convert Charles Toe into a believer in myself. I don't really know him apart from all the strangers in public. Public is here so that you can believe in myself. You don't have to know me personally. The public is there because you don't really agree with me personally, and it's not due to ask me questions or test me or even know who I am or where I am apart from anyone else in public, because you don't believe in me as the order, and you're supposed to sort out your illegal lives with public, and that you would turn yourself into the prisons for a death. You're not supposed to die in public in a car accident. You're not supposed to die if somebody stole your wallet and abandoned you, stranded you in public. You're not supposed to be stranded at the side of a roadway, such as even an interstate highway, which is very far in the wrong, dangerous. You're supposed to die in a prison, and the public is too big. The public died of being public. There are people who died in the public who never made it to the prisons, and they're not really died that way. But you're supposed to sort out that you do or don't believe in yourself. Because you're not whole humans. You don't believe in the soul is what I mean when I say you are not a whole human if you don't believe in the soul. So don't be offended that I said you're not a whole human. You don't believe in the soul if you have money in your wallet. It's true that it's not your money. The soul is alive, and the money is accumulated in the banking and frozen in the banks. The money is due in the banks, frozen for you to get a death on yourself. That if you ever reach for the money, you can't have it. You need a death on yourself. You need to go to prison. It's true that the money was there and it was against yourself. And if you withdraw it, it's even more against yourself than you can afford for it to be anywhere within your reach, because it's not yours. That's not your face on the money. It's not my face on the money is why it's frozen in the bank to me. It's not your face on the money is why you are supposed to be aware of that you owe money to God for a death on yourself. With yourself, you must know that. You are illegal, alive, shunned of a human being who does not believe in the soul, and that is what you must know with yourself. Gluttoning food is what makes you legally blind, and that's because you must also pay out the food supply because you owe motions so that you feel the presence of God in yourself. Yes and no. That means the food is there, but it's not really yours to consume. It's there that you have something to give to God, that you just know your boundaries with God, and you have a sense of self that way until you die. I don't mind explaining the order somewhat this way, because if you watch TV at all, which you're not supposed to, but I know that it's too late for me to say no to that. It's true that the people on TV talk about their own creation of themselves, what they see and hear and what they think, which is them being too close to the creator of themselves, that they're not alive, and that God would not really use their body in money. That would be in heaven. It would not be in money in the TV. That's illegal. And you hear, I call it a sky-high mental capacity, but it's true that they are talking from the creator's point of view, the creator of their body's point of view. That's all over the television. So I am describing the order from my point of view that way as well. For example, the news, you could say national news or international news if you watch the international news and news people. And here's the obvious, the weatherman. The weatherman is speaking from the creator's point of view about the weather. He doesn't really know it himself. He can't possibly know that. Barometric pressure, if it's going to rain, that's not human. That's the creator's point of view of that body, what it can say. And that body's not doing alive that way because the creator doesn't actually ask the body, what do you know about the weather? And it would tell its own creator that. So that's why you don't really need to see that or watch the TV.